First weekday of the month, November here. That means it's time for our monthly forecast. And look, it is a Friday. Some of you may not discover this until we get into the next week, but I want you to be able to have this anyway as we start out the new month. We'll start with what I started in October with, which is the average first flakes. And we're talking about 1/10 of an inch or greater. October certainly did end up verifying, didn't it, across some of the far north country. In fact, it expanded for more of us, some of us picking up 1/10 of an inch across a lot of the north country of New England. Well, now that we come into November, take a look at how it expands. By the end of the month, normally anyway, you would find 1/10 of an inch of snow at some point all the way down to northeast Connecticut, northwest Connecticut, eastern Massachusetts, almost but not quite into Boston. Boston usually waits until the beginning of December. Now, having said that, this month, as you're going to see, it may be a little bit harder than usual to get at least accumulating snow. 1/10 of an inch you might be able to do. Let me start out with the overview on the jet stream, and this will only take you through the first half of the month. I am not going to stop this at any point between now and mid-month. I just want you to get a feel for the pattern. Remember, the jet stream is the fast river of air high in the sky that steers storm systems along. It also acts as kind of a separator from cool air to the north and warm to the south, right? So if I set this into motion, you're going to see different storms and different troughs and ridges, but generally speaking, what you find is repeated what we call troughing, or a dip in the jet stream in the western U.S., and repeated ridging in the eastern United States. What this means is we will have a propensity, at least for the first half of the month, to be warmer than normal and probably drier than normal in the eastern United States and cooler than normal in the western United States. At times, you do get a merger of the subtropical jet with moisture, along with the northern jet that brings colder air and energy. But when those mergers happen, they tend to be happening where? In the central United States, not really in the eastern U.S. or in New England. So how does this translate to how Danielle and I see things coming up in terms of the weather pattern for the month? I think in general, when you get near and east of that trough, that dip of cool air in the west, you're going to end up with warmer than normal conditions. In fact, we should be finding pretty decent cold coming into parts of the upper Midwest, and that just doesn't seem to happen overall this month. There'll be some shots, but not on the average. And that's why we actually have put the parts of the upper Midwest into much above normal in terms of temperature, at least above normal. There will probably be pockets of much above normal in the eastern two-thirds of the United States, including here in New England. The normal high in Boston is about 52 degrees for the month on average. Normal low is about 38. So actually, you don't in Boston anyway, and this is the case south of Boston too, normally drop below freezing as an average low temperature over the course of the month. There will, of course, be times that we do that throughout the month, just not normally on the average. When you look at the percent of normal rainfall across the country over the last 30 days, look at this. Most of the nation was drier than normal, in some spots significantly so. And that includes here in New England, where we've only seen about 20% of our normal rain on average in central and southern New England over the last 30 days leading up to this first day of November. You did have some pockets that did better out in the Rockies, where it was snow for a number of folks, and down in Florida for that matter as well. Well, when we look at what's going to happen this month, if we get that occasional phasing of the southern and northern jet stream that I was telling you about to occur across the nation's midsection, that should tip our scales to above or much above normal precipitation in these spots. That's good, because actually some of these spots are in extreme drought that's going on right now, right? Well, the farther east that you go, though, it's harder to do that. You're more removed from the phasing, you're more cut off from the deep subtropical moisture, and the chances are better that you've got below average and much below average precipitation conditions that do extend into New England. This is not good news on the brush fire front. The only thing you can kind of hope for is that maybe you don't get so much in the way of low relative humidity air, but right now, that actually looks to be the case repeatedly. So that will continue to be an issue for us. We're talking about the normal rainfall being 3 2/3 inches in Boston. We don't think we come close to that the way things look right now. In terms of the snow, what I will say about that is when you get these shots of chill, and we've seen this already, and the warmth tries to return, because there will be shots of chill, even though they're short-lived. When the warmth returns into them, you create clouds, and you could create some precipitation. So actually, when we get the more kind of bona fide shots of chill on the backside, it is possible you get a little bit in the way of snow. In fact, that's even more possible the farther north you are in New England. So I wouldn't say that there'd be no snow in a pattern like this. It just certainly, obviously, if you're warmer than normal and you're drier than normal, doesn't really favor that, right? In terms of getting the 14-day, 2 weeks at a time, grab our app if you haven't done it already. I think and hope you'll really enjoy it. And remember, in the app, every Monday, and this is on the homepage, onedegreeoutside.com too, I give you the pattern predictions video, either Danielle or I does, to look out to the next 2 weeks. So we kind of update you every week on a Monday along the way just to see if things are on track. This is how things look in our monthly forecast from 1 Degree Outside this time around. Look forward to seeing you always with more updates on the website, onedegreeoutside.com, and on the app.